Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And a very warm welcome to Monday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. When you're in business and you're selling a commodity, it's very important when it's a commodity like DC, something people would automatically want to buy from the off, that they're not confused about what you're selling to them. The consumer now is absolutely confused about the DC cinematic universe. You have Matt Reeves' universe over there. You have Todd Phillips' Joker universe over there. You have the DCEU over there, and none of it's really connected. The DCEU, even the movies in the DCEU are really loosely connected. So what an absolutely unparalleled mess that this is. So what do we need from James Gunn's announcement that we're either getting this week or next week? We need context. We need to know the connection between the DCEU and DC Universe. That's all we need. You don't have to give me a slate. You don't have to tell me this. You don't have to tell me that. All that would be nice. But what I do want as a consumer of DC live action TV, movies and animation is fucking context. I need to understand what's going on. I need to know if the DCEU is basically the same thing as the new DC universe, right? Is it a continuation of the DCEU? Is it a multiverse strategy like Walter Hamada was going to do? These are the things we need in his announcement, and if we don't get it, I'll be disappointed and I'll be shouting from the rooftops, why did you bother to open your mouth? Because if he continues to keep everything super mysterious and keeps on confusing the fuck out of us, there's no point. Because, how can people be excited about consuming something they don't understand? As I say, you've got these different parts of the DC universe in live action now that are separate to the DCEU. What the most important thing is the DCEU. That's the thing that is absolutely fucked and broken. That's what he needs to fix. The Batman made $750 million globally. The Joker movie made over $1 billion globally. They're not broken. They're fine. Now, personally, I feel that you should either have a connected DC cinematic universe or have a bunch of auteurs making different movies like Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves. I don't believe you can have both things. I don't believe you can have your cake and eat it. It would be pretty good if you could, but you've got a Batman sequel coming out. You've got a Penguin streaming series coming out. Then James Gunn tells us a separate Batman will have a very important role to play in his DC universe. These are the things he has to announce in his announcement. So he claims it's not a huge announcement. He claims that he's not going to tell us everything. But the necessity of him giving us context about how his new universe sits with the current DC extended universe is so important. And if he doesn't give us that, I, of course, will be utterly disappointed. I want to understand. Don't have to tell me everything. You don't have to give me a list of films even. You don't have to spill your guts about everything. A 10-year plan, or today it's probably an 8-year plan, tomorrow it'll be a 6-year plan, right? Don't care about that. I need to understand context. And if James Gunn thinks he doesn't have to finally give context with this announcement, Houston, we have a huge freaking problem. Because I understand what Walter Hamada was attempting to do more than this guy is attempting to do. I understand they were using the Flash movie to create another universe, basically a new timeline with some of the same actors playing these DC characters and some new actors playing new versions of these DC characters. I get what they were attempting to do. They were attempting to fix things by creating a new timeline. I get it. We'll never know if it was going to work or not. I personally believe that James Gunn is working via the same plan of Walter Hamada and multiverse strategy. These are things that we need to be told in this initial announcement. because just giving a list of films and then saying thank you very much just won't do it for me. And I would hope it doesn't do it for you. Now, James Gunn may be a Pied Piper to a lot of you, and you'll follow him anywhere and you'll soullessly say trust James Gunn, even though you have evidence to the contrary. You know, it's all about this announcement because, you know, he's told us he's casting a new Superman, a younger Superman. He's replacing Henry Cavill. Many people don't like that, but he's been open and honest about that. He's told us Batman will be very important in his DC universe, but he hasn't clarified if he's using a younger Batman or if he's using Ben Affleck. He's announced he's not using Henry Cavill, but he hasn't announced he's not using Ben Affleck. Very, very interesting. So what he says about the future of Batman in DC Universe is very important. These are the context that we need. We need this context. We need it. What does context mean? In case you don't know what the meaning of the word is, it means for it to make sense. And if he doesn't give us some context in this initial announcement coming soon, there's no point in making one. There's no point whatsoever. I want to understand, James, what you are trying to do, because you have confused the issue even further since you've come in as co-chair of DC Studios. I don't understand what you're attempting to do. The last DCEU movie I saw, in a post-credit scene, I saw Henry Cavill's Superman talking to The Rock's Black Adam. So if the DCEU and the DC Universe are the same things, how do you go from Henry Cavill to a new Superman? Now, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s and the early noughties, they didn't really give long stories and justify their recasts. You just see it in the next episode or next movie, you saw a new actor playing a character, and we got used to it. Sometimes we accepted it, sometimes we didn't. That's the way they did it. So we may just turn up after Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and his next movie is happening, or Peacemaker may be the first thing we see as part of this new timeline or new universe or whatever it is. And we're just going to continue as normal with a few, recasts, and they won't be explained. I'll just accept that. That's okay. That's fine. I'd prefer that we have a reason for Henry Cavill not playing Superman, apart from the reason that you can't just have, oh, there's a young Superman, that's why we changed it. There needs to be explanations, but what's very, very important here is when he makes this announcement, at the very least, he makes things make sense. He explains to us, what the connection between the DCEU and the DCU actually are, if any. I think it's clear that the DC universe is a rebrand of the DC extended universe, but a more connected franchise. That's how it comes across to me. Don't think they're burning everything down. It's pretty clear from what he's saying they're not burning everything down. And this announcement has to be about, right, A, we're doing this. This is what's going to happen to the old DCEU. And this is where I'm taking my DC universe. That's all he actually has to explain. Now, if he explains that and announces a mini slate, a first chapter of a slate, I think we can all be very, very content. If he just announces some films and still doesn't give any context in terms of what he's planning, then that's very, very sad that he's playing this game with us, his consumer. Because I'm not here to play mind games with James Gunn. I'm not an idiot. As I say, I'm immune to the Pied Piper's flute. Simple as that. I want straight answers. So no, I don't expect him to tell me the plot of each film or tell us what his arc is or explain this one story he's going to use. I don't care about any of that. I'm excited to see how that plays out within the movies, the streaming shows, the animation and the games. Sounds very exciting. Sounds like an exciting plan, but plans have to be executed in the right way. Otherwise, they're good in theory, but they're not great in execution. So we need him to explain his plan and what context they have to what's existed before that. Because these films are coming out and we need to know. Now, it's difficult, of course, because they're going to be very careful about telling us if these movies matter or not because they want us to go and see these movies. But if that's the case, don't make your fucking announcements. We don't know, right? If the actor playing the Flash will continue playing the Flash, if even his version of the Flash has anything to do with the Flash, which I'm assuming we will have a Flash in the DC universe. We don't know if Ezra Miller will still be playing the Flash. We still don't know if Amber Heard will continue to play Mira. We don't even know if Gal Gadot will continue to play Wonder Woman. And that's what I want to move on to now. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She has been an absolutely terrific ambassador for DC and the character of Wonder Woman. When she was announced, there was a lot of complaints from hardcore male Wonder Woman fans. I'm here defending the male gender every fucking day from extremists, right? We're called misogynists, this and that, right? We're accused of sexualizing women. What did a little corner of the Wonder Woman fandom do when Gal Gadot was cast? Complain that her breasts weren't big enough. My God, do you listen to yourselves? How dumb and stupid you sound. It was absolutely a ridiculous complaint. Gal Gadot was a perfect fit as Wonder Woman, a contemporary modern day live action Wonder Woman. And her first appearance in Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice was absolutely tremendous. A kick-ass Wonder Woman with compassion. What we see in BVS is that she's amassed a little bit of wealth. She's driving a nice car. She wears nice clothes. She has, obviously, she's lived for many, probably thousands of years, so she has knowledge of historical events, and she's used that, really, to amass her wealth through antiquities, if you like. She's very interested in old stuff, old statues, and things like that. So that's the business she works in. And, you know, one of the most beautiful moments in the DC Extended Universe was Gal, Henry, and Ben standing together as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Is she with you? No, I thought she was with you. I actually think that's a great line and a great gag. Not many people think that, but I absolutely adored that moment. She's been fantastic. And then in her first film, Wonder Woman 2017, an outstanding origin movie for a comic book character, she was brilliant. She was kick-ass, compassionate, kind. It really, really worked. It's a great movie, and the future for Wonder Woman looked bright until we went to Wonder Woman 84, and now we don't even know if Gal's going to continue in the role. It's a very interesting situation because since Patty Jenkins been announced to be cut from writing and directing Wonder Woman 3, you would expect an official statement from Gal Gadot's PR people, and we haven't had that. Gal hasn't said a word about the removal of Patty Jenkins, and that's interesting. That's got people talking. There was a rumour from Variety saying that Wonder Woman wouldn't be involved in the first 3 years of the DC Universe. James Gunn immediately came out to deny this. He's denied that they've benched Gal as Wonder Woman, but he hasn't gone into it kind of in detail. So that's kind of something we want from this announcement. We want to know the future of Wonder Woman in the DC Universe and what future does Gal Gadot have within the DC Universe. I'm going to make a huge assumption that Gal is going to quit the role of Wonder Woman. I hope I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Who knows? But that is the gut feeling I have here. It will be a sad day for me to lose Gal as Wonder Woman. There's no reason to replace her as Wonder Woman. Now, if you want an everlasting, cinematic universe or franchise as a whole, like James Gunn is attempting to do here, you always have to regenerate these roles and bring in new versions of these characters. Now, with Doctor Who, it's done all the time. You have the concept of regeneration, and it really, really does work. And it's important to regenerate these iconic DC characters. There's nothing wrong with replacing a younger actor, Henry Cavill with a younger actor, or Ben Affleck with a younger actor, or Gal Gadot with a younger actor, but it's got to be done in the right way. Henry Cavill should have had at least a Man of Steel sequel. Gal should have had her Wonder Woman trilogy to finish off some kind of arc. You know, she was great in Wonder Woman 84. I don't like Wonder Woman 84, but she tried her best through her acting to cover up the creative bankruptcy of Patty Jenkins. Even in Justice League, a terribly patched together movie, she tried her best. And she was absolutely sensational. And I'll be sad to lose her. But I accept if you want these things to last, you have to regenerate them every few years. And that's okay. But, as I say, it's the way you do it. You don't basically bench Henry Cavill, then bring him back, then bench him again. That's not the way these things should work, right? I didn't want Patty Jenkins to write and direct Wonder Woman 3. It's one decision that James Gunn has made that I'm very, very happy about. They couldn't carry on with Patty Jenkins. I predicted they wouldn't carry on with Patty Jenkins because it was fucking obvious they couldn't and wouldn't continue with Patty Jenkins. The woman was a fucking disaster area. Nice lady, very polite, very respectful, but I'm sorry, Wonder Woman was too much for her. Her name was attached to the superior first Wonder Woman movie. I still have my doubts to how much of that great movie she was involved in. You know, did she just say, look at the sky and say blue? We can tell that Zack Snyder's choreography was there. His special effects was there. You can tell this was more Zack Snyder's movie than Patty Jenkins' movie. They clearly disagreed in some of the stuff that happened in the movie. Critics didn't like the third act. I loved the third act absolutely brilliantly. She doesn't believe in a fighty CGI ending. But, you know, if you're doing a superhero story, you do want that big boss battle, as long as it's done with a genuine, logical, emotional story in mind. I didn't mind the talky ending with Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord. It was very emotional. It brought tears to my eyes. It kind of worked, but ultimately, that film barely had any action or any fighty things. You know, you've literally got one of the most iconic villains in Wonder Woman's history. They totally fucked up that character. Barbara Manova is an icon in DC Comics and an icon, you know, basically an iconic opposite to Diana. And to, you know, mess that up. You know, Cheetah is a great villain. And they barely used her. She was shot in the dark. You know, it was, look, that film, no matter how much you plug it or how you twist the narrative of it, absolutely failed at every attempt. But because Pedro Pascal is such a great actor, and him and Gal were the best things about Wonder Woman 84, no question about that. So I would be sad to lose Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but I suspect, and it's my gut feeling, that's exactly the way this is going to happen. And if this is going to happen, this needs to happen within this announcement that James Gunn's making this week or next week. Context, context, context. You and me need to understand what's going on. And if we don't understand what's going on, then how can we consume this stuff? How can we hype this stuff up for them? They want to make money. They want to make us excited. I mean, that's how entertainment used to happen, right? I mean, it's a bit weird today. It doesn't look like that's what they do today to entertain us and excite the audience, so we hand our money over. Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? So if you do dumb shit like bring Henry Cavill back, then fire him 2 months later, yeah, you're probably going to lose a lot of fans. The Flash movie isn't going to make the money it should make, because they've got literally a serial criminal in the lead role, and fans are going to boycott this movie. It's a shame. Miller gives a tremendous performance. It's a really good film. You'll miss out if you boycott it, but I understand why you're going to take that moral high ground and boycott the movie. Then you've got the Amber Heard situation. So the old DCEU is a fucking mess, and James Gunn is here to fix that. He's not here to fix the Batman. That's nothing to do with him. I know he's got a meeting with Matt Reeves, but that meeting has nothing to do in him telling Matt Reeves what to do. He doesn't get to do that. And if he attempts to do that, Matt will walk. Todd Phillips hasn't got any meetings scheduled with James Gunn. That tells you where he is in the pecking order. He's being protected by David Zaslav because he made over $1 billion in that movie. And it's all about how much money your project makes. That's all what David Zaslav cares about. Money, 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 because he needs to raise $3 billion because that company is in a hell of a lot of debt right now. So they're a very desperate company. So they're trying to fix this situation, but you can't put plasters on gaping wounds. You can't put sticking plasters on gaping wounds. You've got to be able to, suture and stitch together the wound and then put the bandage over it so you don't get an infection. That's my analogy. So this announcement will tell us, is this a market stall salesman? Is this a Del Boy on an Arthur Daly in James Gunn that we've got, who literally is trying to make it look like he's creating something new, but in fact, he's not? All we need with this announcement is context for us to understand what this DC universe actually is. And the people that we like in these roles, like Zachary Levi, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, we need to know what their future is. We need to know what happens. So if they don't do that, if they don't at least tell us what connection the old universe has with the new universe, then we will continue to be asking the same questions, and this isn't going to work. And it just proves that the same mismanagement we had with the DC Extended Universe would be within the DC Universe. And that's something that I don't want to see. It's something you don't want to see. We don't want to keep on questioning what they're doing. We don't want people to keep on mocking the DC universe, And it's important for James Gunn's reputation as well that he does this thing the right way. In terms of the MCU, you could criticize their treatment of the VFX artists. You could criticize the way they make movies and the way they, disrupt cinema and take all the screens and don't allow indie movies to have their screens and things like that. But the franchise absolutely makes sense. It's all part of the same universe, and it always has been. There is no confusion with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but there's a lot of confusion with the DC Universe right now. And with his announcement, James Gunn has to make it clear what the hell is going on. This has been Monday's edition of the DC Universe Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss his beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.